I'm like, before I continue, I emphasize one Kasoma Farouk of Uganda quote, where we say, in all circumstances, believe that you can. Believe that you do what? You can. At a time, even when things are difficult, believe that you do what? You can. And I can tell you, you'll achieve success. So we are saying, the year 1789 in France, it was the year of fundamental change which took place in France. I can tell you the year 1789, a fundamental change took place in France, politically, socially, and economically, where majority peasants, who were 23 million, were rising up against the nobles and the clergy, who were 2 million. They were rising up against Louis XVI and the beautiful Marie Antoinette. I can tell you today, Louis XVI took political power when he was 20 years. But when he took political power, you see, it is as if the heaven is going to follow me today. A man feared the responsibility. Very weak man, Louis XVI. And by this time, he was easily influenced by the wife, Marie Antoinette. That's why the French rose up. Louis XVI married Marie Antoinette when Louis was 15 years and Marie was 14 years. That's why when Louis took political power, when he was 20 years, Marie was 19 years. No wonder they misused the government money. It is seen, Marie Antoinette used to buy 4 pairs of shoes every week. We couldn't mind, but she was using government what? Money. It is said she had 500 maids. These ones were workers working at her home. It is this that made the people to rise up and stage a what? A revolution. So we are challenging minds. What were the causes of the French Revolution of 1789? We are saying the social class system in France. People in France were divided into classes. Nobles, these were so honored in society. The clergy, so honored. Then the peasants. I can tell you, the peasants were the majority, 23 million. The nobles and the clergy were 2 million. But it is said they had so many privileges. The peasants were meant to cry every time. I can tell you, the social class system, where the nobles and the clergy had great pieces of land, the peasants did not have land. Among the peasants, even we had the middle class, educated people, but they were not given share in the political power. So the social class system, where the peasants did not have land, and the nobles and the clergy were the ones that had great pieces of land. It is said the peasants were not favored in the law. The nobles and the clergy were favored. It is the social class system in France that made the people in France to rise up and stage a what? A revolution. I can tell you, when the conditions are bad, people must rise up and overthrow the what? The government. So the social class system led to the French Revolution. Another one, the influence of the philosophers. We are saying today, philosophers, these ones were hardcore thinkers. They were not normal thinkers. These were wise men who wrote ideas concerning about to change. They criticized Louis XVI. They criticized the nobles and the clergy. Their books were read by so many people. Those who read their books had to rise up and stage a revolution. Because the philosophers criticized criticized Louis XVI. They criticized how the economy was mismanaged by Louis XVI. It is said the main type of food by the time in France was bread. By time came, bread was very expensive. The peasants went, they wanted to meet Louis XVI. They wanted to tell Louis to decrease on the price of bread. Marie Antoinette told them that if bread is expensive, try cakes. Can you imagine? Very arrogant woman. At a time when people had nothing to eat, Marie Antoinette told them, if bread is expensive, try what? Try cakes. So the philosophers wrote all of these in their books. I can tell you, the books were read by so many people. Those who read the books were determined to stage what? A revolution. So by the time the revolution took place, the philosophers were already dead. But their writing made the masses to rise up and stage what? A revolution. So friends, the year 1789 was not a normal year. Because in that year, people rose up and staged what? A revolution. Among the philosophers, we had Voltaire, a restless writer. We had Jean-Jacques Rousseau. All of these were philosophers. By the way, Jean-Jacques Rousseau wrote and said, men are born free, but everywhere they're in chains. In other words, men are born free when they are young, but everywhere they are in chains. I can tell you people suffer to the maximum. So the philosophers wrote ideas concerning about change, and people staged the what? A revolution. Then the nature of the French system of government. You see, the French system of government was full of corruption. It was full of corruption. People were paying so many taxes. But it is said, those in power were misusing the what? The taxes. As they were misusing the taxes, it is this that made people in France to rise up and stage what? A revolution. So the nature of the government, misusing government money, annoyed the masses, and people rose up and staged a what? A revolution. Because a lot of money was collected, but it was misused by a small clique of people. That's why people staged a revolution. Then the character of Louis XVI. I can tell you, the leader Louis XVI had a very bad character. He was easily influenced by the wife, Marie Antoinette. Marie Antoinette, very bad woman. At a time when the masses had nothing to eat, Marie Antoinette told them that if bread is expensive, try cakes. I can tell you, it was the character of Louis XVI who, even when he took political power, he said, it is as if the heaven is going to fall on me today. A man feared the responsibility. And this led to the French Revolution of 1789. Then the influence of Marie Antoinette. It is said Marie Antoinette's influence, she used to buy 4 pairs of shoes every week. She had 500 maids. By the way, one of the leading historians, Dennis Richard, in Illustrated Modern Europe, is telling us that every tooth of Marie had a worker responsible for that tooth. Can you imagine? I can tell you people suffer to the maximum. All of these were paid using government money. It is this influence of Marie Antoinette that annoyed the French. That's why they rose up and staged the what? A revolution. I can tell you, if conditions are bad, people must overthrow the government. Then the influence of England. It is said, England, for it, it had a constitution, but France didn't have a what? A constitution. So it was the influence of England that made people in France to rise up and stage a revolution. They were saying, how comes that in England they have a constitution, and for us we don't have a what? A constitution. So it was the influence of England that made the people to rise up and stage a revolution in 1789. Then the American War of Independence, 1776. What happened in the American War of Independence? It is said one time America was colonized by Britain. But it is said, when the Americans were fighting for their independence, Louis XVI took French soldiers to go and help the Americans get their what? Independence. Helping couldn't be bad. But he used a lot of money when the masses were suffering in France to assist the others. And when they reached there, they realized that the people they were helping, they were even far better than them. When they came back, and a man called Lafayette, a great thinker in politics, Lafayette led other people, and they staged the what? A revolution. Because he was telling the French who were there in America, helping those people, but the people were helping are even far better than us. That's why they staged the revolution. Then the financial crisis. It is said the financial crisis, which was brought by excess borrowing. The government borrowed a lot of money from the bourgeoisie, very rich people. It is said by this time, it was because of the financial crisis, which was brought by spending a lot of money in wars, like